Thank you so much for joining us, Senator. I am excited to dive in and quick talk about your Roast and Ride event this weekend. You're hosting a bunch of candidates, and not only that, but you've taken the stage with a couple already. What have you seen on the campaign trail so far, and what are you excited to see this weekend?
Well, it is really exciting because we have 8 of our presidential hopefuls that will be in attendance, taking the stage and sharing their message with Iowans. So it's the Roast and Ride on June 3rd at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. Tickets are on sale at roastandride.com, and you can learn more about the event. So I am hoping that they share their message with all of those that are participating there, their thoughts and ideas where we need to go as a nation. And I'm very excited because we do have Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, Tim Scott, you name it. They are going to be there again at the Iowa State Fairgrounds on June 3rd. So I have spent time with a number of these candidates, and it's been really exciting to welcome them all into the great state of Iowa and just hear what they have to say and what their message is.
Obviously, we're facing a really unique campaign season because we have incumbent Joe Biden, who's going to be running. We have possibly going to have another face-off between Biden and Trump. What do you think the GOP needs to do to push through and get a victory this next election season?
Well, I think it's really important that we focus on the primaries and the caucuses right now. I think the Democrats should do the same. And I'm very disappointed that the Iowa Democrats don't have the first in the nation status any longer. I really am disappointed that they did not fight harder for that. I think Iowans have an important voice. They should be sharing that with Republicans. It will be interesting because we do have a former president that is participating again in the caucuses. So Iowans will sort through those that have announced they are running for president. They will carefully vet them, but I think they want to look forward. They want to hear about future plans for the United States and how we can get our country back on track. We're facing $31 trillion in debt, and Iowans want to know that they have a plan to get out of that and strengthen our national defense, be a strong leader in the world. Democrats, it's hard to say. We don't have an open primary there. We do have the president that has announced he will be running again, but I haven't seen a lot of enthusiasm in Iowa for President Biden. I think there are a lot of folks that would rather see him just quietly move on. So it's going to be an interesting year. And what I've told everyone is just, buckle up because it's going to be a bumpy ride.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, Iowa is such a unique state in so many ways. As a native Iowan myself who's covered numerous elections now, what do you think all these candidates, I mean, we have candidates from South Carolina, from Florida. What do you think that they need to know when they come into this state?
Well, I think they need to know what is important to the Iowa voter and, of course, Republicans at large. And that is, of course, number one is the inflation and economy issue. President Biden has, with the help of his Democrats in Congress, spent trillions of dollars that we don't have, and it's spending that didn't need to be done. So a lot of liberal pet projects, and Iowans are really upset about that. They don't want to pass along this debt to their children and grandchildren. So that is top of mind as well. The farm economy, of course, is very, very important in making sure that we are able to feed and fuel the world and do it in a way that is not breaking the farmers' banks. And we're seeing that with the various goods that have to be imported from other countries. Just we need to do more domestically, and that's what they want to see. And of course, the southern border is becoming an issue in Iowa, and Iowans want to hear whether it's a Democrat or a Republican. They want to hear what is the solution to this unusually high level of illegal migration that's coming across our southern border. We are starting to see a peak in fentanyl deaths across our communities in Iowa, and it's directly attributed to an open border. So we need to hear answers on those types of issues. And again, at least Republicans have a robust stage in Iowa. Unfortunately, the Democrats don't.
And before I let you go, I have to get your initial thoughts on this debt ceiling deal that has been discussed over the weekend.
Right. The country is facing $31 trillion of debt, and it keeps growing exponentially. And Iowans are very frustrated about what they see in Washington, D.C., and the lack of collaboration between Congress and the White House. There is a deal that's been proposed. It's far from perfect, but there are some good points there. We do see in the deal where we claw back billions of dollars of unspent COVID money. I think that is entirely appropriate. We see additional work requirements for those that will be applying for SNAP benefits, and that is extremely important as well. That we make sure we're providing a hand up and not a hand out. So I think that there are a number of good things that we see. We also will see decreased spending in our appropriations bills, where we spend less than we did the year before. So there's some really good things in there. So it's a positive step in the right direction. And we'll see where we go in the next few days when it comes to the debt ceiling deal that was brokered between Speaker McCarthy and President Biden.
One quick follow-up question on that, because I know a lot of our viewers and a lot of our audience cares about student loan, the student loan element, and we're hearing that it could be pushed back a couple months with this deal. Do you feel like that's appropriate?
Well, I feel that the student loan forgiveness issue should not even be on our radar. That needs to go away. I feel that when you sign the dotted line and you are agreeing to take out a loan for your program, then you should repay that loan. I feel that with any loan that's taken out. And I equate this a couple of different ways. One is my brother, who did not have the option to go to college, and he went straight into the workforce. My brother, who is a union laborer, would now be paying for someone who's potentially working on Wall Street in a six-figure job to pay back those student loans. I think that is entirely unfair. I also think about the soldiers that I served with overseas that enlisted for educational benefits. Many of them have reached out to me and said, I served my country. And now every other person who chose not to serve their country is getting the same or even greater benefits than I did. So those that are asking for their student loans to be forgiven, I don't think it's appropriate. I think that needs to go away. We should not be paying student loans back. And so let's focus on the issue at hand. Let's not continue to add to our nation's debt by doing that.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Senator.